Each year, thousands of surgeries are performed at Bayhealth. Our patients and their families are relying on us to do our best. It's our job to keep our patients safe and to have good clinical outcomes.
Doctors, are we ready?
Simple, everyday tasks prevent the spread of infection and should not be taken for granted. Actions like double gloving, using a safe zone, and proper sharps disposal are all ways to keep ourselves, our patients, and our colleagues safe from harm in the operating room.
At Bayhealth, we're focused on safety.
It's our job to keep patients and coworkers equally safe from harm. Safety isn't a game.
This isn't child's play. We aim for zero healthcare environment exposures. We can always do better. The OR environment poses a higher risk for sharps-related exposures. Bayhealth is committed to being a high-reliability organization. It's our job to keep our hospital safe. We use 4 safety behavior expectations. Speak up for safety, ask questions, focus on details, effectively communicate.
This is how we empower ourselves to do better, to be safer, and to make sure we don't endanger each other, or most importantly, our patients.
We deal with so many things that are sharp. It just takes a second to have an exposure. My personal experiences have been from blood splashes in my eyes to just slipping and injuring myself with a suture needle and then being injured by other personnel with sharps, with suture sharp objects. We're closing the patient and I assist the surgeon following with the suture, and he has the sharp in his hand and his hand slipped, and where I was holding the suture up, his hand slipped and the tip of the needle went right into the tip of my pinky finger. If you do get a serious stick, say you got stuck by a scalpel, that could be a serious cut, your blood could also expose the patient too. So we don't want to do any harm to the patient, and we don't want harm to come to us. I think of my family all the time when an exposure occurs. Actually, that's probably one of the first things I think of is my family. I would say just do everything you can to be as safe as possible. And protect yourself.
So it was early one morning. I was on call the night prior that was woken up with a call for an urgent C-section. I came into the hospital, grabbed my scrubs out of the scrub machine, was in the process of getting dressed, that I started putting on my shoe and felt a sharp pain. Took off the shoe to kind of investigate, feel around, see what was in there, and got stuck again. Then set the shoe aside, said I have a case I need to attend to. I can figure out what this is later. After the case was over, went back with a hemostat and was in the process of removing the offending object when I stuck myself a third time. Did discover that it was in fact a suture needle with a little bit of thread left on it, suture left on it, and spoke with my manager. She put in a variance for me, and then I went over to the emergency room here at Milford. Unfortunately, about maybe a couple weeks prior, I had been involved in a body fluid exposure from a patient. So from that experience, I was sort of familiar with what the next few steps were in the process. The variants being submitted, going to the emergency room, having preliminary labs drawn, following up with occupational health. I had no idea, what the source of that, we'll say, the contamination was, or the patient that suture could have come from. There were numerous cases the day before. It would have been inappropriate to try to test all those patients or review their history to see if any one of them had had a positive result. So I decided that I did want to start the PET medications, the Truvada and Icentris. As a result of the exposure and the medication I'm taking, it certainly impacts not only here at work with having to leave early with some of the dizziness symptoms and whatnot. Also at home, it affects me. I'm the kind of person that will say prepares for the worst but hopes for the best. So immediately I jump to, we'll say, the worst possible outcome, and maybe I do end up picking up something from this that impacts my life. Maybe resulting in me not being around when my kids are older, and what that means, what I'll miss, and that I won't be a part of their life as they grow up. And it's a scary thing. This whole situation certainly was preventable. We didn't have any counts in error the day prior, so it's entirely a disposal issue that someone unfortunately either didn't follow proper procedure when disposing of the item, or just an accident happened and it fell off on the way to the sharps container. Regardless of how it happened, it is a little frustrating that it did take place at all. But it's strange to say, I'm glad it happened to me and not one of my coworkers.